Welcome to the Sounds of GU podcast, where we host fun, compelling conversations with the GU community about the college experience. This podcast is not only for those interested in higher education, but also what's going on in our little quaint bubble of Greenville, Illinois. At Greenville University, we believe that each human is uniquely made to shape the world. This podcast is just one of the many examples of the harmony our community creates when a multitude of unique voices come together. Each student, faculty, staff, alumni has a special song to sing. The Sounds of GU podcast features each individual's perspective to display a symphony of stories. It's not only about who they are and what they do, although it is about those things as well, but it's the why behind the melody they sing. With each podcast episode, you'll be encouraged, inspired, and informed by the voices behind the mic. Without further ado, let's hear another sound of GU. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. This is my favorite part of my job, I think.
Yeah.
So if you just want to start by introducing yourself, tell us your name, your major, where you're from, good stuff like that.
Alrighty. Well, my name is Andrew Martin. I'm from Witt, Illinois, and I'm a senior psychology major. My Enneagram number is 9. I don't remember any of the wings, but and I also hate using the word cute for inanimate objects. So
That's an interesting fact.
Yeah.
That's funny. You said you're an Enneagram 9.
Yes.
Gotcha. Sweet. So this next question that we're going to start off with, I tricked you. I didn't send it to you.
Oh, no.
But this is the only one,
No.
okay? And it's the
Okay.
whole premise of the purpose of
Okay.
the podcast. So it's no pressure. If you don't know the answer, it's completely fine. Let's see if you can name, there's 7 of them, but if you can name any of them, that's great. Any of GU's core values.
Oh, no.
Just take a stab at it.
Honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard them before.
That's okay.
I think it's just been like an underlying meaning that's been set up within like all the context, but I don't think I've actually heard like the actual 7 values.
Yeah. Could you just guess and take a stab if you know one? If you had to guess, what would it be?
Probably like character and service because
Okay.
of the whole like mission statement thing. But other than that, I have no idea.
Well, you got 2 right.
I got 2 right? Woo! Okay.
So that's awesome. So I'm going to ask you these questions, and we're going to kind of point towards the 7 core values and like show how they were embedded into your experience, even though you didn't know about it, but they were. Trust me.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So the first question is, what is character? What does that mean to you?
Okay. To me, character is not only what you do like in front of people, but like what you do behind the scenes. So, for instance, when I played volleyball, the coach is like, always leave the locker room and the benches better than you left it. It's like if you have trash, even if the other team's trash, just pick it up, throw it away, just leave it better. So like to me, that's like the part of character. Like you care about leaving a good impression on people, whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
So
What's that song? Who are you when I'm not around? Like when
yeah.
no one's looking, who are you? That really
Yeah.
shows like who you are.
Yeah.
That's good. So can you guess what core value that points to? What is character?
Just the character value?
Character, yes. That is one of our core values.
Yikes.
So,
oh man.
next question. How do you serve others, whether that's in the GU community, the Greenville community at large, or maybe your community back home?
Okay. So back home over the past 2 summers, I actually worked for my city, just like mowing lawns, patching roads, painting curbs, painting fire hydrants. So like for me, like yes, I got paid for it, but like, to me, it's like giving back to a community that like I've lived in for 21 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that way. And then here at Greenville, it's a little bit harder, I'd say, for the most part, but I mean, most of my friends know that like I'll have a conversation with them no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like just having conversations with people is helping out the community.
Yeah. No, it is. That's awesome. That's really cool. Did you like your job over the summer?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It was a lot of hot days outside, weed eating, and yeah.
That's fun.
It was pretty hot.
So the other aspect of this that we don't always think about is serving ourselves, like through self-care, not in a selfish way, but like how do you take care of yourself? How do you serve yourself?
Okay. I usually this is probably I'm gonna rat on myself, but I'm a really bad procrastinator.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think I qualify that procrastination with taking me time.
Mm.
So to me it helps because it's just like I can take time to not do anything school related, like friend related, team related, but at the same time it forces me to do stuff last minute. So it's a win-lose, but I tend to enjoy it.
But you take time for yourself. A lot of college students don't do that. So that's important.
When I came to college, I'm like, I gotta prioritize sleep because like I've heard many horror stories about college students like not going to bed until like 3 o'clock in the morning and having an 8 o'clock class. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
I'm not about that life.
I'm like, why? I mean, yeah, there is a lot of schoolwork, but you need sleep to survive. So
yeah,
it's important.
My first couple years, I was that.
Yeah.
Like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning every night. But this year, I've been like to bed like at 10:30 every night.
Oh man, 10:30. I don't know if I go to bed that early. But
and now, like when I'm up past 11, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so dead tired. But no, that's good advice for students. So if you didn't know already, the core value that goes along with that is service. So you got those two. That's awesome. Ooh. So what'd you say your major was again?
Psychology.
Psychology. How would you say you're thriving in your area of study?
Well, that's a good question.
Are
good
you
question.
thriving in your area of study?
I am thriving. I have a pretty good GPA, so I mean, I am thriving.
That's awesome.
But it's kind of weird to like me as a psychology student, like I see other psychology students and like we're very different. So it's like, should I be like, should I know all of that stuff? Or should it just be like what I already know? So it's like, yes, I'm thriving, but at the same time, am I thriving enough? I don't know.
So you're kind of getting caught up in that comparison.
Yeah, kind of the comparison thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just gonna do me, and if I happen to have to do that, I'll do it. But it's not on my priority list. Yeah, you're thriving for you, not for anybody else, and that's what's important. Yeah.
What do you want to do with your psychology degree? Do you know?
Forensic psychology.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
cool.
have to get.
I don't really know what that entails.
Basically, it bridges the gap between law and psychology for, like if somebody has mental illness and they commit a crime, it's like, oh, they're not in the right mindset to have committed that crime. With their own self. Yeah. So will you work for like a law firm? Will you work on your own for the court? Potentially. It could be like a law firm, government agency, police, anything and law, anything and everything law, I should say.
Gotcha. But that's really cool. Yeah. I don't hear about that very often. Yeah, so. I didn't know about it until this past summer because I took business law and I got really interested in the law aspect of things. So I was like, oh, can I combine psychology and law? Yeah. And lo and behold, there's forensic psychology. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. So how would you say you're thriving outside of the classroom, outside your major? Okay, yeah. Going back to my procrastination, taking me time, also hang out with friends, having conversations with them. It's kind of hard this year, obviously, because COVID can't really hang out with a ton of people. But when I do hang out with people, it's like usually meaningful conversations and not like the usual small talk of like yada yada yada. It's more like, why do you wake up in the morning? Kind of stuff. So it's great. Yeah, that's really cool. So can you guess the third core value that we're talking about? Thriving. Yes. Thriving. How would you say if your faith has changed? I mean, it doesn't have to have changed, but would you say it's changed since coming on campus, and in what ways?
It definitely changed. I come from like a small town. My dad's a pastor for a non-denominational church. So like I grew up in the church, grew up pretty much not anything, everything Christian, but like Christian background.
Yeah.
Basically the whole family's Christian. Like when I came here, like I still had that mindset, but like through the years, I'm like, why? I've been wondering like, why is Christianity right? Like, why is it the one religion that like a bunch of people follow in the world? So like I've been trying to explore that a little bit, and it's been an interesting ride, to say the least. Actually, recently in one of my classes, the history of psychology, it pointed out that Christianity kind of like tied in back into into a Plato philosophy of like there's these different forms, and like anything you see in the world is just like an abstract manifestation of those pure forms. So like the highest form is like, it's called the form of the good. It's like the highest form, and embodies everything else. So it's like in Christianity, God is that form of the good. It's like you can't refute it. So it's like, why can't we refute it? I mean, I know this sounds very anti-Christian, but it's like, for me, it's like, to be a Christian, you have to ask those hard questions. So it's, that's just basically, why is Christianity right and everybody else wrong?
That's a tough question. When I came to Greenville, I was like, I was freaking out. I was telling my youth group leader, I was like, if I'm supposed to evangelize for the Christian faith, why am I going to a Christian school where everyone's going to be Christian? And they were like, not everyone's going to be Christian, Sydney. Like, there's going to be opportunities. And then my other thing was, like, I wanted to learn about other religions, because I was the same way. Like, I wanted to solidify, like, what is it about Christianity that I want to follow? So I think, and you might disagree, but I think Greenville, in a sense, can appear like, oh, you have to go to chapel, you have to do these things. But a lot of it is just like asking really tough questions to get you to think about it. And like, they give you the space to go outside those boundaries and really dive deeper into like what things mean, and those deep questions. So
for sure.
That's really cool. What core value would you say does that point to?
Probably the faith part.
Yeah, Christ-centered is the technical term, but yes, faith.
Okay.
Christ-centered, it's kind of part of everything that we do. So switching back to your classroom environment a little bit, in what ways have you already been able to apply what you've learned in the classroom to real life situations? This is tough.
Yeah, and like, I don't know if I've had too many like real life situations, but it's more of like when I have conversations with my friends, like, oh, they said this, I can tie it back to like something Sigmund Freud said, or Carl Jung, or like any like psychologist that says like, oh, it points back to that. So it's not like real life, but like at the same time, it's still real life.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're going to be doing, is just talking to people. So I'd say that's real life. It's all real life. It's funny that we're like, apply it to real life situations. What do you mean? The whole thing's real life. Let's see. Okay, so continuing on the conversation about your area of study, hang on. We have to go back a second, because that core value about applying what you've learned to the classroom to like other situations, do you want to guess what it is? What do you do?
It's probably something super simple, but I can't think of it right now.
Part of it is simple. What do you do in the classroom? Learn. So it's integrated learning. So just taking
that's a big word.
Taking what you learn taking what you learn in the classroom and applying it to other places in life. So
makes sense.
Okay, continue back to what I was saying. Continuing with the classroom theme, what have you learned in your program that you think you'll take to your field and try to apply, or maybe change how the field operates? Like, what are you learning now that will affect that?
That's a good question. So psychology I think it's fascinating. Some people think it's really boring, but I've always been fascinated like why people do what they do. So it's with the legal side, it'll be a little bit easier because obviously crimes, criminals, all that is like, why do they commit crimes? And also, this semester I'm taking crime and social deviancy with Dr. Laughlin, which everybody should take that class. It's awesome. But it really goes into the like the different theories about why people commit deviance. And deviance isn't bad, it's just different. So there's like a whole bunch of different theories. Like, is it the community? Is it society as a whole? Is it like your family? And like that ties back into psychology too. He's like, there's literally like the same theory on both sides, like called the social learning theory. It's like different theorists, but it's the same thing. So it's like you learn stuff from, it's monkey see, monkey do. So like for me, that's like I want to figure out in law is, did they do it for themselves? Did they see it by looking at other people? Is it just like an epiphany kind of thing, or whatever in between?
That's very interesting. Yeah. This is another very complicated word. That's one of our core values, but innovation is the core value that's talking about. So just like coming up with new ideas, you know, taking what you learn here and applying it to your career. Who is one person that you met at GU that you want to continue in a relationship with after you graduate?
Just one.
I mean, you can pick a couple from different areas. That was kind of the question of yesterday's podcast. Like, if you want to pick a student and like a professor, faculty member, can do one of each.
All my friends are gonna hate me for this. Sorry, friends, I love you, but I'm gonna have to go with Will Sunderland.
Yeah.
He's the one that's like forced me to have the tough conversations of like, why do you wake up in the morning? Why this? Why that? And it's like, in high school I never had to do that. So it's like opening up new horizons for me. And plus he's a really deep thinker and much smarter than I am. but yeah, I think he's just a great guy. Yeah. But that's awesome. Sorry, friends. And my roommates, other two roommates. I love you guys too. But as far as faculty goes, man, I don't know if I can choose just one of these either.
Or maybe a couple. That's okay too. I'm not trying to get you to pick favorites.
Right. I think I'm gonna have to go with Professor Laughlin because it's like, yeah, Dr. Beans and Dr. Watson are great, but it's like all the classes I've taken with them were like the theoretical side of psychology, and except for the one consumer behavior class, that's a good class too. But like with Laughlin, I can see like where psychology actually applies in like real world situations, and also he lived like the criminal justice life, so like he brings in his experiences with other people, their experiences, all that stuff. Yeah, he's kind of more tied to the field that you want to go into. Yeah. That's really cool. So this core value, I'm sure you can guess it, but like the people aspect. Definitely the friends. The core value is community. The C word. Should have known that one. Oh man. That's a buzzword at Greenville, but it it's true to me anyways. Find community. But anyways, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for having me. You have a very deep mind. And I think like what you were talking about is you're always willing to have conversations with other people on campus. Like I really see that come into play in your life, like from afar. Like you really do just talk to anyone. You're friends with anyone. Yeah. So it's been kind of rough because I started out as an introvert. Yeah. And like now it's like I'm a little bit better. Yeah. You're coming out of your shell. Yeah. Like, obviously this semester's a little hard, but it's great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate you. Thank you for watching the Sounds of GU podcast. To see a listing of all our episodes, please visit greenville.edu/sounds-of-GU. We'd also love it if you could follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. You can find us at Greenville Univ.
You can also reach out to us over our DMs, and we'd love to hear what you thought of the podcast. All right, see you next time on The Sounds of GU.